All right, this is AutoSys 4.2, and this is Web UI, and we're going to go over some of the 24 features and then specifically some of the 24.2 features. So I'm going to log into the interface here. When we come into the interface, we're going to notice that there is a new menu option over on the left-hand column here called Define. And we will go there in a minute, but let's talk about managing jobs through the new interface, which I think is the best. So if the old-fashioned way was to go into Quick View, and then we would pull up a job. Let's see here. And I'm going to pull up one of my jobs. And then we would force start the job from here and we would watch the job run. And if it failed or was successful, the logs are down at the bottom of the screen where we can pick the log file that we want to look at for the job run. But it's very singular, meaning it's all about this job run. In the middle, we have the job flow, but as you notice, this job flow is kind of clunky and I can't do much with it other than I can shrink it down and make it smaller. I can drag it around a little, but there's not much that I can do with it. We also have the ability to show the GIL for the job, and we can force start our job from here, and we can click the quick edit button and we can edit our job from here. So a better way is let's take our job name and let's put it in the search bar on the top here. And this brings us to the new monitor over on the menu on the left-hand side. And this shows our job with all of the previous job runs right out in front of us here. And the cool thing is we can go into the latest job run and we can see what happened with that job run. If this was an abend, it would show that, and you had ServiceNow integration enabled, it would show the ticket number for that abend in the ticket number column here. The other nice thing is we can go right into the standard output log from right here. And if this job had been a failure, we have the ability to do a diff logs. Our log is over on the right side, and these are the previous job runs. And so you can pull the log file from any of the previous job runs, and it shows the two logs, the current run and the past run, side by side for troubleshooting, and shows you, highlights any differences between the two files. That's very useful. There's also a find feature here where we can find a string if it's a very long log file, and this will allow you to do Perl regular expressions also in your search. So we can do some customization of it, and again, do some pattern matching for regular expressions. Makes it nice for trying to troubleshoot a problem with a job. We can also go into the error log if there is any, the agent log, the spool, and again, we can do a diff logs on any of these functions where we have logs. We can also export this table here into, I think it does comma delimited. Also, I think we have the ability to, thought we had the ability to export the log, but maybe we don't. Back in the main screen here, we have the ability to force start our job, edit the job. So we can edit the job right from this interface. We can make changes if we had a failure, and then we can force start and actually rerun our job from right here. If we go back to this job in the quick view page, if we wanted to change the status on this job, there's multiple steps to do that. We have to go to the pull down. We have to go to the send event. We click go. We then have to come in here and do a change status and then pick our status, and at which time we can change the status. In the new interface, change status is a menu choice. We click change status and we just immediately pick the status we want to change to. This also allows us to add a note to the change status, and there's some advanced event settings that allow us to schedule that status change. So if I didn't want to change the status until midnight tonight, I would go to May 1st at 12 o'clock, and they say okay, and it would schedule that change for midnight tonight rather than do it immediately. Um, a very nice way to monitor jobs. We can edit our jobs. We can also show starting conditions for this job. This job doesn't have any dependent jobs. And there is a job that's dependent on this job. And then we can also do job flow. And notice that, or I'm sorry, job definition. So this will give us the Jill view or the tree view of the job. Also, it has a new job flow screen. So we talked about this in the quick view tab. Um, this job flow is much more useful. If it was a very long job flow, we can actually turn it sideways. So you can do some manipulation with this interface that we were not able to do before. You can download this flow now to PDF or PNG. You can actually, if I wanted to edit the dependent job, I can highlight the job, right mouse, and I can actually edit this job right from here. So it's very useful in being able to support the job that you're in. It also shows the alarms for the job, any alarms that were generated for this job. So I love this view for day-to-day management of jobs. You can do everything from this one screen. This feature is available in any of the versions of 24. Now, a new 24.2 feature. These next features that I'm going to show you are setting the product up for version 26, which is going to allow you to run the AutoSys backend in a Kubernetes container. So in order to do that, some of the functions that we did from the command line in the previous versions, we're not going to be able to get a command line inside of a container. So we've got to be able to edit things without actually being able to get into the back end. So as an example, if we log into the scheduler and we run the AutoSys_secure utility, this is where we would manage our users for our Windows jobs. So if we look in here, you can add a user. We can manage users with passwords. We can create, change, delete a user. We can also show all of the users that we've already configured. And notice I have 4 user IDs in here. Now, if we go back to the new interface and we come over to the menu on the side and we go to define and we go to the credentials and we do user management, if I type a star in here in the search, here's the 4 users that were in our AutoSys Secure utility. So we can come in here, we can click on any of these users, go to the actions, and we can edit or delete these. So we can change the password using the edit button. It allows us to change the password just like we did in the old utility. We can come in here and we can actually create a new user. So if we create a user, we're going to create a password user, a credentialed user, and we'll call it Jim at local host. And we'll give it a password. We'll save it. And now if we go back to our AutoSys Secure in here and we do a number 4 and we show users, you'll see that our Jim user that we just added is actually added in. So we're replacing some of these utilities on the back end. For those of you that are familiar with email templates, and we had to modify those on the back end in either an AutoSys command prompt on Windows or in a shell in Linux, or ServiceNow templates, that's all now configurable through the new web interface. If we go back to the define here and we do notification objects, email templates, and I do a search here, I have one email template in my environment. I can click on that template. This should look very familiar. We could actually come in here. We can actually edit the template. And if we add a comment to it here, we'll add a comment for test. We'll save it. And if we go back to our job, and we go to the edit action in this job, and we go to notifications, like we want to add a notification service to here, and we preview the template, you can now see that the for test was added to the template. We can also likewise add it to help desk template. This is for like ServiceNow integration. I search for my template and I have one template in my environment. We can come in the same way we can edit this template. So all of this is now editable through the WCC, and it's all controllable through the EAM. You also have the ability to add security profiles. So you can add profiles into here. You can add execution objects, so connection profiles, security profiles. You could also, there's also a new way to monitor resources. Here's the old resource tab. And if I come in here and I want to look for all of my resources, I put a star in the name here and I click go, and it gives me, I only have one resource. It shows me that the resource is called widget, and that there's 10 of them, and that it's a renewable resource. Now I can come into the new interface and go to resources. I put a star in the name here, and it shows me my widget resource. It's renewable, and there's 10 of them. The nice thing about this is if I go into that widget, I can actually come in here and edit the resource, or delete it if I want, or duplicate it. But if I go to the jobs tab, it also shows me all the jobs that are using that resource, how many of that resource are required by that job, and whether it's actually using any of those resources. So if you have jobs that are locked up waiting for a resource, you can come in here and you can find out what's hanging the resource up, and you can actually release the resource. So a very nice way to monitor resources if you use them. And that's all I have for the new interface. If you're planning an upgrade and you need some help with your upgrade, Robert Mark Technologies offers those services. We'd be glad to help you. We've done many, many, many upgrades. It's one of the big items that we do. We also do staff augmentations, and we support other products like Control M, Atomic, AutoSys, several of the workload automation products. And we offer services for all of those. We are a premier Broadcom partner.